What is up, my friends? Happy Friday! Happy Friday! It is a nice one in sunny Southern California. So, what's up, you guys? Thanks for joining me here on this Friday live here. A little special live we're going to do today. So much to talk about when it comes to California and a lot of other things that are happening here in the States. So, we'll wait a couple minutes and let everyone join us and jump on here. But for now, we'll take some comments and chat a little bit with you guys. So. Jason, great comment here. Best time to buy California real estate is today, said the agent. I like that. Applause for you, my friend. So what's interesting about that comment, I will tell you, is that there's an old saying that says, the best time actually, Jason, to buy real estate was 30 years ago. The second best time is today. Right, and there's another one. I'm full of these with real estate. I could tell you there's another one that says that don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait, because if you look at the historical chart in real estate over a 5-7+ year period, the market always goes up. At least it has historically, right? So if you buy real estate and wait, you're going to continue to see that appreciation, amongst other things, tax benefits, all kinds of other stuff. And so buying real estate is definitely a great investment, a good thing to do. So great comment there, Jason. We have CDA God 1 says, Danny, I will be there in August. Please clean up LA for me until I arrive. Thank you in advance. Man, if I could clean up LA, well, I mean, I could. I know the solution. There's some pretty straightforward, easy solutions. The problem is the politicians don't want to do those. There's plenty of money too. So a lot of people say that there's not enough money to resolve the problems in LA and California, like homelessness. Well, there's plenty of money. There's so much money here. They have a budget surplus, in fact, in most cases. The problem is what they're doing with it. They're like literally burning the money. They're setting it on fire with the stupid, I shouldn't use that word, but with the nonsensical programs that they roll out. It's nonsense. It's insanity. None of it works. They're basically just burning the money that they have. So, CDA God, I wish I could help, but I don't think. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I have talked about it. But running for office and subjecting like my family and everything to all that stuff, probably not what I want to do. Okay, and Reva says, haha, yes, solve the problems of LA by August. Like I said, like I said, I know how to do it. It's not that challenging. The problems in LA actually are not that, unique, and they're really not that tough to solve. I mean, let's talk about homelessness, right? So homelessness in LA, I was actually just listening to great Joe Rogan podcast episode where he had Kalyan Noir on, who's a gun rights activist and cool guy and stuff. And they were talking about the homeless issue in LA specifically. And when you look at it, there's plenty of money. I can't remember the exact number, but like in the hundreds of millions of dollars that they spend on homelessness every year, and they can't do anything about it. And the problem is, first and foremost, that it's allowed to happen. So people are, they're allowing people to sleep on the streets in tents in beautiful places like Venice Beach, downtown LA. I won't talk about the Skid Row is obviously something that was set up for that. But, you talk about beautiful areas of Southern California, of Los Angeles, like Venice Beach, like Brentwood, other places, West LA, and there's homeless people sleeping on the streets, under every overpass. This is being allowed to happen. I want you guys to understand. The police are not allowed to remove them. The city has said that is fine. And so that's the first issue. You got to resolve it at the root level of the city. And from there, you can then go on to solve homelessness. My good friend Craig Grivey, who I've had on the show a couple of times, has a charitable, a nonprofit organization called Rise Together, and his mission is to help LA rise together and solve a lot of these issues. Because again, guys, there's plenty of money. There's so much money to solve these things. They're not being solved because the city's allowing them to happen, and because the city's solutions are just flat out dumb. Eric Garcetti's solutions make no sense. They're spending so much money on units. I think the cost of a unit to house a homeless person, like $600,000 or $700,000. I mean, that's ridiculous. Buy them a condo. I mean, you could buy them a condo for that amount. It's absurd what they're doing with it. And so the solution, as Craig would say, is root it out at the start. So stop people from becoming homeless first and foremost. And then there's plenty of cities that have solved the homeless problem with less money. LA keeps throwing more money. There's got to be some corruption back there. There is no way that you can throw, I don't even know what the number is, several $100 million at this issue and not be able to solve it. It's just stupidity. So that's what I have to say about that. Okay, Matoken says, what do I think about Dogecoin? We could talk crypto a little bit. I got this piece of advice from a investor a long time ago, and it always stuck with me. And the piece of advice was, whatever you're investing in, buy the leader in that segment, buy the leader in that category, right? So for example, I was asking him at the time about investing in stocks, and I said, I like electric cars, the government's pushing them and stuff like that. And I asked him, what do you think about this company called NIO, which is an electric car manufacturer? And he said, are they the industry leader? And I said, no. And he said, who's the industry leader? And I said, Tesla. And he said, buy that. So when we talk about Dogecoin, it started out as a joke. I know, I've read about it. Elon Musk has been pumping it and stuff like that. As a speculative trading thing, if that's what you're into, by all means. As a long-term investment, I don't know. I'm about now, based on what the advice I got from this multimillionaire investor, is whenever I am going to invest in an individual stock or an individual platform, I'm going to buy the industry leader. So for crypto, I personally decided I want to take the guesswork out of it. I'm just going to buy Bitcoin. And I use a company called Swan Bitcoin, which I've talked about a lot on the show. The links are in the description. You can get, I think, $10 of free Bitcoin. You can also read a book called Inventing Bitcoin, which is very good. So that's my thoughts on crypto. But great question, Matoken. Thanks for being on. Let me give you a little round of applause. Mickey, how are you? Thanks for being on this live here. And your question is, can we recall Eric Garcetti? I don't know the answer to that. I need someone hanging out here with me to help me out on this stuff. I don't know the answer to that. I know we can recall the governor. That's in the laws of California, which obviously is happening now. But I will tell you, Garcetti's up for re-election, right? So Garcetti's going to be up for re-election, I believe, in 2022. Let's double check that real quick. Garcetti's up for re-election in 2022. I was correct. So the answer is it's not that far away. My friend Craig, who I talked about, and his organization called Rise Together, if you guys are into this kind of stuff, he is really pushing hard to really lift up LA and have people that traditionally don't vote come out and vote, because it's the first time where all of the elections are actually going to be lined up in such a way in November that we are going to get a big turnout in the November 22 mayoral election. And so we can defeat Garcetti. We can actually change the city council. I do have a couple of videos with Craig on the channel if you want to check those out. Speaking of the channel, guys, I wanted to let you know, if you didn't notice, I started a second YouTube channel called Real Estate Simplified. Let me show that to you guys real quick. Let me go there and show it to you. Here we go. And what that channel is all about, the genesis of this was really that, people asked me, let me show you guys on the screen share. So here's the channel. And what happened was people had asked me, this is way too big. Let's go like this. There we go. So people had asked me for some real estate specific videos. And what I have noticed about YouTube is that, YouTube likes the channel to be have a narrow focus. And so what we decided, as my team and I got together, and we decided that we are going to launch a second channel devoted only to real estate. And by the way, we just launched it and we have 28 subscribers. Woo! We'll do an applause for that. So we already have a bunch of really cool videos there. If you're not subscribed to the Real Estate Simplified channel, please head over there. The link is down in the description here. If it's not, we will throw it in the chat. And actually, I'll throw it in the chat for you right now. Real estate simplified. Okay, there it is. So check out that channel. I'd really love it if you subscribe to that, because on that channel, I'm going to be doing only real estate. So we've done a couple videos there. We did Biden's $25,000 first-time homebuyer grant. Talked about that. We talked about a crazy new modification to the 1031 exchange rules. That's a really cool video. If you want to check that out, that'll affect a lot of people. Also put up a video about the 15-year mortgage versus the 30-year mortgage. Which one should you get? And also, when is the real estate market going to crash? So I already have 4 videos up there. We'll be posting there multiple times a week. So definitely check that out if you are into real estate, because that's what we're going to talk about there exclusively. So thanks for that, you guys. I appreciate that. All right, so a couple of things I wanted to talk about this morning. If you have questions, if you have comments, throw them in the chat box. I would love to talk about it. Speaking of homeless, Riva says that Santa Monica smells like urine. Yes, it does. What do we do for that? Maybe a DJ air horn? I don't know if that goes. So yes, it does, unfortunately. And again, you know, the homeless issue that LA is just not solving. So a couple of things I want to talk about, guys. On this channel, on the YouTube channel yesterday, I put out a video about Gavin Newsom accepting 226? What did I say? 226 million? Let me go back there and I'll tell you the exact number. 200 and where's the video? There it is. $226 million in 2020 in what are called behested payments. Have you heard of behested payments? Do you know what those are? If you have, throw it in the comment box. Basically, what behested payments are, they're unregulated. There is very low disclosure requirements. And what they are that corporations and companies and special interest groups can actually contribute money on behalf of a political official to a certain cause. So, you know, in this example, all of the top corporations in California contributed a bunch of money on behalf of Gavin Newsom to causes related to the pandemic or homelessness or whatever charities Gavin Newsom is into on his behalf. Now, here's the interesting part, you guys. Sip of water and then I'll tell you. And it's by the way, this is a short video. It's a YouTube short, so it's only a minute. So go check it out. I'll show you the video. If you go to the channel, it is right here. This video right there. And you know, I should play it for you guys. It's only a minute. You guys want to watch it? I think you guys will like this video. So check this out instead of me explaining it. Oh wait, let me get this. But what if I told you that Okay, hold on. Have you ever heard of? Let me set this up right, and then you guys can check this out. Okay, so it's a short, and so it's vertical format, which is kind of an interesting thing. We're testing out. So let's, yeah. Okay, so check this out, guys. I think you guys will enjoy this video. Check this out. It's only a minute. Of behested payments? Yeah. Let's start. Have you ever heard of behested payments? Yeah, neither had I. But what if I told you that California Governor Gavin Newsom collected over $226 million in 2020 in behested payments made on his behalf by certain powerful California corporations such as Facebook, Google, T-Mobile, and Blue Shield? Behested payments are essentially made at the request of the public official in question, and they allow politicians to raise unlimited amounts of money from corporations and special interests. The companies say they were only trying to help the state respond to the pandemic, but many of them also do quite a bit of business with the governor, and many received large no-bid contracts or were lobbying for important appointments, raising questions about political conflicts of interest. Blue Shield, for example, gave $20 million to one of Newsom's homeless initiatives and promptly received a no-bid contract to run California's vaccine distribution system. But nothing to see here, folks. Carry on. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more just like it. So, sorry, I'm just making a note there. So, so you guys, pretty interesting stuff, right? What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about this behested payment thing? I didn't really know about it, I got to tell you. So I had no idea that this was a thing until I kind of found out about it, and then I started researching it and made that video. And Thinking Impaired said, definitely an informative 1-minute video. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, what's crazy to me is, all these companies that gave all this money on behalf of Gavin Newsom, all kind of got something for that. So pay to play, come to mind. And the issue is, what's crazy to me is, like, no one's really talking about it. It's not a big thing. Like, there's just, I feel like in California, the level of corruption at all phases of government, from Gavin Newsom all the way down, is just unfathomable. I mean, again, so much money allocated towards homelessness, they don't solve the problem. It just keeps getting worse. All these companies, give all this money on behalf of Gavin Newsom, and guess what? They get no bid contracts, right? Imagine that. Mickey, yeah. So let me talk about it. So yeah, it's legal because apparently the law is that these companies can give money on behalf of the politician without all the disclosure requirements, because it's not a campaign contribution. Well, it kind of is, right? If they're getting all this stuff in return. I would imagine that at some point this would be something that the government would look at, but not in California, because again, the problem in California right now, you guys, is that it is such a one-party state. It is 2-1 Democrat in terms of voting. Like over 70% of the legislature, the government, and all that stuff in California is all one way. It's all Democrat. And by the way, guys, I think it's a problem if it's one way either direction. The whole kind of fundamental thing with government that you want is, you want healthy debate, you want discourse, you want discussions about these things. And if your whole government is just one way, then you never get that discussion, you never get the opposing point of view, you never get someone to check you when you're doing stupid stuff. And so this is what ultimately happens in California now, because it's just so slanted one way that there's no checks and balances anymore. And that is the big problem. And so, Mickey, yeah, it's legal for now, and it's obviously happening. So, it's pretty crazy, right? So yeah, agree to disagree, checks and balances. And like I've said, look, I think it's good to have that either way. You need the debate. You need people in the middle. You need people on the right. You need people on the left. I mean, you look at our Supreme Court, and even though it is now slanted towards the conservative side, the decisions are still usually like 5-4, 6-3. I mean, you do get some slanted ones, 9-0 or whatever, but that's the whole idea. The idea of our system of government is that we are going to have a debate. We are going to discuss it. We're going to allow the opposing point of view always to say what they want to say. As you guys know, big tech, media, and all that is all becoming very slanted. They don't want the opposing point of view. They want unity if you agree. If you don't agree, then they don't want unity, which is not really unity, of course. Thinking Impaired said, is this a possible way to buy foreclosed homes by 501c3? So Thinking Impaired, 501c3 is a designation by the IRS for a non-profit or a not-for-profit corporation. And so you could do all kinds of things with a not-for-profit corporation. The idea, of course, is that there is no profit. And so you can buy houses with that if there's some charitable endeavor that you're pursuing. So let's say that you want to establish housing for homeless, since we've been talking about that, and you want to do it through a 501c3. That's cool. You could definitely do that for sure. There aren't a lot of foreclosures right now, I will tell you, but you can certainly do that. So guys, so much happening in California. One other thing I did want to talk about, I want to show you guys something that's pretty crazy also. So that's not what I want to show you. I didn't want to show you guys Mr. Wonderful. Let me go back to where I was, and I will show you something that I think is pretty crazy, speaking of the California government. So let's zoom back in. So this dude, Assemblyman Alex Lee, who is a Democratic socialist in California, backed by Bernie Sanders and people like that. I just want to show you that these are the types of people that are governing California, that are proposing things in California. So Assemblyman Alex Lee is like the youngest assemblyman up there in Sacramento, And by the way, the guy lives with his mother. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you don't have a lot of real world experience yet. So I want you to see some of the craziness that he is proposing. Single payer health care. A bill to ban corporations and business entities from contributing money. Oh, no, that's a different one. Sorry. Proposal to create a wealth tax, right? All of these bills are coming from this 25-year-old Democratic socialist from San Jose, endorsed by Bernie Sanders, and lives with his mom. He became the state's youngest lawmaker in more than 80 years, and he connects with constituents via Minecraft and Instagram Live. All right, cool. Nothing wrong with that. And so all of these different bills that he is proposing, the wealth tax bill, I've done a video on that. All of these other kinds of things are radical, progressive, socialist agenda items, which, by the way, they're not hiding behind. They call themselves democratic socialists, but that's basically you're a socialist. I wish that these folks would just research history, because if you look back at history, my parents were actually over at my house the other night, and we were talking about this because, as you guys know, if you watch the channel, my family came from Russia when I was 3 years old, and back when Russia was a communist country. And so what's interesting to me is that if you just look at history, you can see what happens when you go down the road of socialism and communism, and it's not good. and the idea is behind all that stuff is that we need to redistribute wealth. The wealthy are bad, the corporations are bad, everything needs to be controlled by the government, and the government needs to tell you what to do. We've had a huge dose of that in the last year. And trust me when I tell you that the politicians and the people in power do not want to give that power up once they get it. That is really what happens with socialism and communism, and what leads to the downfall of countries and the downfall of empires. It's happened over and over and over again, and people just do not learn. And so, young people obviously are very, very bought into this. A lot of millennials and people like that are bought into this. And most of those folks, the people in education, they simply lack the real world knowledge and the real world experience to understand where this leads. And so it's definitely a huge issue, I believe. And it's really bad. Thinking Impaired said, I was told Democrat politicians use video games to communicate in order to keep their communications private. I guess that's the case. I don't know about that. I guess that's what's going on. And so maybe that's why this dude is playing Minecraft all day and talking to his people and coming up with crazy proposals. So, this is, for me, like a huge concern, and I think it's one of the reasons why so many people are leaving California. I was actually just on the phone the other day with a buddy of mine who lives in Dallas, Texas, and he was saying that, the atmosphere in Dallas right now is so great. It's like positive energy, great vibes. Everyone's trying to accomplish something. If you look at the messaging coming out of the state, the government there, it's all positive. It's the tech companies are coming, the business, all of this stuff. And then the messaging out of the leaders in California is all negative. We have all these problems, and who's to blame? Well, it's everyone here, and you guys aren't, all this kind of crazy stuff. And the solutions they propose in California, none of them make any sense. So I definitely wanted to bring that to your guys' attention. There are so many crazy things happening in California that, hey, I could devote a whole YouTube channel to that, which we are doing a lot of, guys. I did want to just quickly mention on the channel that, oh, hold on, I'm going to mention that in a second, but Ray Studios Super Chat, thank you so much, man. Let me give you a Super Chat, a special, here we go.
Super Chat.
There we go. Ray Studios, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate the Super Chat. Really appreciate you being here. So thank you so much. And then Mickey, and by the way, let's talk about what Ray Studios said, right? So they're dividing us so that they can control us. 1,000%. The media, and I've talked about this a lot of times, the media only really has one goal, and that is ratings. And they love the division. They love it. That's what they want, right? The media wants us to be divided. They want us to be pissed at each other, because the more upset we are with each other and the more divided we are, guess what? the more ratings they get, because the angrier we are and the more fire that they can stoke on their programs, then the more ratings they get, the higher their ratings, because then we come back and we watch more. We want to hear more of this, and we get into this echo chamber with them. To me, I think all of the news stations are guilty of it. I am a little bit biased, so I will tell you that I think, CNN to me is just completely unwatchable. I mean, I try to get the opposing view. I really do. I try to say, okay, what is the other side thinking? How do they come up with these conclusions? So I'll turn on CNN a little bit and I'll say, okay, what are they saying? And the stuff they're saying is just, it's idiotic. It's like, I don't know how any logical person could watch that, believe it, and then, think that is actually news. Because to me, it's crazy. So Ray Studios, thanks again. One more time. Let's do Super Chat. I think I have another one. Hold on, what's this one?
Thank you very much.
There we go. That's the one I wanted to do. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Let's go to some more comments here. So Mickey says, I'm a millennial, but was educated growing up. My family's from Serbia, former Yugoslavia. Communism is a scary thing. Yeah. So Mickey, look, we're from the same part of the country. And, I will tell you that it is a very scary thing. My parents talk about all the time that, when countries start going down this path, they lived in it. My dad and I were just talking about it. It's like, they didn't want any, it's like the book 1984. They didn't want any free thought. They wanted a homogeneous society. That, they didn't want anyone to stand out. And when you see some of the policies, I just saw something that in some state, I want to say Virginia or somewhere, they basically got rid of all the advanced math classes up until 11th grade in school. They don't want anyone getting ahead. And so think about that for a second. That is, socialism and communism right there. Everyone's got to be the same. We don't want you getting ahead. So Mickey, thanks for that comment. Riva, what did you think of the president's speech the other night? Oh man, what a snooze fest. I was about to fall asleep. I watched a tiny bit. It's just the whole thing. And the thing that I laugh about is supposedly this guy got 81 million votes. Well, every time you look at like a YouTube video of like his speech or something like that, what's crazy is there's always like 10,000 thumbs down and like 1,000 thumbs up. Where are those 81 people? If that's really the slant of the audience, where are those 81 million people? I'm just curious. Reba, what were some of my takeaways? My takeaways were that this guy needs to be at home chilling with his kids and not doing what he's doing, because this is not what he should be doing, for sure. And Blaine said, for sure, thank you for that. And Ray, another super chat. Dude, you're the best. Thank you so much. We're going to get a Patriot Act 2.0. Yeah, definitely possible. Let's do some more. This is for Ray Studios. Thank you so much. And we have another one that will be super chat. There we go.
Super chat.
So there's a lot of madness happening, for sure. By the way, the Patriot Act, I don't know too much about that. You may have to educate us on that. But pretty crazy stuff going on, for sure, in the country. Reva talked about Rudy Giuliani. Yeah, Rudy Giuliani's house got raided by the FBI. It's madness. They're not investigating Hunter Biden, but Uncle Rudy, gets his house raided by the FBI. So, I do think I was talking to another friend of mine who said he's very down on what's going on in America. I see it, and so I'm talking about it all the time. He's very down on it, and he was basically saying, like, listen, like it's all just going to continue that way. As younger people, keep pushing these agendas, and then those younger people become older and they push the agenda. We're just headed down that path of socialism and communism. I'll tell you, I hope not, obviously. I think this is the greatest country ever. It's been going on for a long time. I think the states are definitely, the states that see the way I see it are fighting a lot of this stuff. States like Texas and Florida and a lot of other states are fighting all of these policies. I will tell you though, the left is very smart, and the left has played the long game on this. The reason I say that is they're starting with education. So the left knows if we can indoctrinate the kids, if we can start in kindergarten, in first grade, in second grade, by the time those kids are older, they are going to believe this stuff like it's a religion. When you talk about stuff like critical race theory that they're trying to indoctrinate the kids with in schools, all of the stuff they're doing is all creating the people that they want to create, activists and things like that down the line. And so, I'll quickly mention that if you're a parent or if you know parents, make sure that you're very vigilant about what your kids are studying in school. I'm here in Southern California, and they are just, ramming this stuff into the schools, and then they make the schools feel bad, and then they try to indoctrinate the parents. And so, we're making the decision we're not going to deal with that, so we're going to choose a different school in a different direction. But you got to be careful because, before this year, I'll tell you, before the pandemic, I wasn't paying any attention to like what my kids were doing in school. I was like, I'm paying the school, like let them do their thing. But you can't do that anymore. You got to make sure that your kids are not learning the stuff that is going to really poison them down the line later. So lots of interesting stuff going on, guys. I definitely want to thank you guys for. Here we go, Ray. Hey, Ray, man, you're the man. I'm so appreciative here. This is awesome. So let's talk about the Patriot Act. So Ray, and one more time, amazing. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Super
Thanks
chat.
for the support. So Ray, the Patriot Act allows the government to spy on every American. Oh, it's that one. Yes. Okay. So I know exactly what we're talking about now. So the Patriot Act allows the government to spy on every American without a warrant.
Chat.
They can look at your internet history, increase overall surveillance. And then I just pulled up Patriot Act 2.0 since you mentioned it. So let's talk about it. So here it is. So Patriot Act 2, let's go like this, and let's take a look together. So here it is. So Patriot Act 2 overview. There it is. So the government would no longer be required to disclose the identity of anyone, even an American citizen, detained in connection with a terror. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about here. A terror investigation until criminal charges are filed, no matter how long that takes. So that's scary, to say the least. An American citizen suspected of being part of a terrorist conspiracy could be held by investigators without anyone being notified. He could simply disappear. That is wild. I'm going to actually put this in the comments. So, wow. Okay, so I mean, this is crazy stuff, right? So let's read a little bit more. Current court limits on local police spying on religious and political activity would be repealed. This is the proposed Patriot Act 2.0. Well, geez, I hope this doesn't pass. The government would be allowed to obtain credit records and library records without a warrant. Wiretaps without any court order for up to 15 days after a terror attack would be permissible. So, I get the idea here, but the problem is the abuse of this power, right? Release of information about health safety hazards posed by chemical and other plants would be restricted. I mean, this does smell of, Ray, this does smell of communism. I mean, right here, right? Like, hey, the government can basically do whatever the hell they want. The reach of an already overbroad definition of terrorism would be expanded. Individuals engaged in civil disobedience could risk losing their citizenship. Their organization could be subject to wiretapping and asset seizure. So basically, what this sounds like to me, Ray, is if the government, if you disagree with the government, then this is what could happen. And basically now what we have is if you disagree with like social media and the powers that be, they can demonetize you, ban you, take you off their platform, as we've seen on the tech giants, right? Americans could be extradited, searched, and wiretapped at the highest of foreign nations, whether or not treaties allow it, and lawful immigrants would be stripped of the right to a fair deportation hearing, and federal courts would not be allowed to review immigration rulings. So that is pretty frightening, I will tell you. Ray, thanks a lot, man, for ruining my day. No, just kidding. You made my day with the super chats. I got to tell you, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So 1776 will commence again if they try to take the... Yes, for sure. I agree with that 100%. And what's cool about what's going on, Ray, I will tell you, is that a lot of states, I was just looking at Governor Abbott in Texas, so I don't know where you live. I'm in California looking to go to Texas or Florida. But in Texas, they want to make it basically a gun sanctuary state. They want to say that, if you're here, we don't really care what the federal government does. We're not taking your guns, and you're good. You're good here. So if you're a gun enthusiast, if you're a gun fan, guys, you probably want to be in a state like Texas, places like Montana and North Dakota and South Dakota and stuff like that. One of the two. Wherever Kristi Noem is, that's where you kind of want to be. Wherever guys like Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis, people like that are big supporters of everything. Ray, thank you so much, man, for all the support and the super chats. Really, really appreciate that. So, and thanks for bringing this bill to my attention. I hadn't heard of Patriot Act 2.0, but this is wild stuff, you guys. If you haven't seen that, definitely take a look and look into that. Crazy stuff. Mickey said, you are right. My older cousin said the schools in Chicago make the kids watch CNN every day. He has to re-educate his daughters now. Yeah, I mean, that's just wild. Like, a school, to me, sorry to go back to schools, but should be a place where kids, first of all, learn, how to think, not what to think. If they're showing CNN to the kids in school, that's like almost like teaching them religion when you don't want religion, because CNN is not news. I mean, let's be honest. There is no objective journalism going on CNN. It's all completely one-sided. Now, you can agree with that side, but you still have to agree that it's one-sided. So you could say, yeah, it is one-sided. I agree with it. It's a great echo chamber. I love it. That's why I watch. No problem. But you cannot say that it's not one-sided. I mean, these news articles and news stories, or I won't even call them news, the propaganda coming from CNN is just madness. So that's not something I watch. But anyhow, well, guys, listen, I want to say thank you so much for joining me on this Friday morning live. We're going to do more of these lives, probably either Fridays or Saturday mornings on this channel. Also, like I said, if you haven't checked out the real estate channel, head over there and subscribe. I would love to have you over there. Real estate only. This is fun stuff for me. Well, they're both fun, but this is California. This is politics. This is the United States, taxes, things like that. I want to give one more special shout out to Ray Studios for joining us here and for the super chats, man. I really, really do appreciate the support of the channel. We're going to do one more. Here we go. And Ray said, I live in...
Super chat.
I'll wait for that to go. I live in Iowa, but I'm seriously considering moving to Texas, Florida, or a few other places. You should watch the Ingraham Angle from last night. I love that show. So Laura Ingraham's great. I will definitely check that out later today. So Ray, I will tell you, we're in Southern California, and we are strongly considering Texas or Florida for the reasons that we've talked about all morning here. California has just become, a crazy place to live. The laws, the policies, everything happening here is just insanity. And so we need to go somewhere where we can be around like-minded people. And by the way, the cool thing about places like Texas and Florida, I was just in Florida. So we have a condo out in Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. We were just there for a week. And what's cool about Florida, Ray, and Mickey said Florida for me too, is that there's people of all races, all ethnicities, all political views. And the cool thing about that is you get that dialogue, you get that discourse, and people don't hate each other if they're not part of their group. And I love that. It's such a cool place. And I see that in Texas too. I will tell you, depending on where you go in Texas, there are places that are obviously slant, pretty red. But, you go to like Dallas and Dallas County and some other places, and there are, places that also are blue. So you get that, that intersection, you get that dialogue, you get that discussion. And Ray said that he was just in Texas as well. So we were in Dallas checking it out. Love it out in Texas. Texas values, Texas beliefs I love. Florida's great too. So we're thinking of maybe traveling between the two. Maybe we'll have a place in Texas, go to Florida for the beach, come back to Texas to live, and for the kids to be in school. But I will tell you, I just read an article that even in Texas, they're trying to introduce stuff like critical race theory and things like that in school, which is not a good thing. So we definitely got to eradicate that, get rid of things like that everywhere. And they're starting to pass laws to disallow teaching those things in school, which is fantastic. Ray, I'm with you, man. What's funny is everyone always tells me like you're originally from Russia, but you're really a cowboy. So I like country music and I love it out there in Texas. It's just such a fun place. It's fantastic. So, all right, guys. Well, I will leave you with that. I just want to say one more time, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for joining me here today. Ray, thank you for the super chats. I so appreciate it. Appreciate the support of the channel, guys. Check out the real estate channel if you haven't already.
Super chat.
And I will see you guys on the next video and on the next live. Thank you guys. Everyone have a great weekend. I really, really appreciate you joining me here and for all your comments and for all your interaction. I love it. I appreciate it. And thank you for being here. See you guys later. Everyone have a great weekend. I'll see you guys soon.